Well, we all know the Celtics need to offload salary. We knew that entering this offseason, but I don't think any of us thought they would get something of true significance for the pieces they wanted to get rid of because the salaries they were trying to offload were large. So enter the Portland Trailblazers. The Celtics traded 35-year-old Jrue Holiday to Portland late last night with 3 years left on his contract in exchange for 26-year-old Anfernee Simons, a guy who scored 21 points a game over the last 3 seasons and shoots 37 from 3. ESPN NBA analyst Bobby Marks is not a fan of this for Portland.
I'm not a big fan of the $72 million that you are inheriting, but that is the risk, and that is where Portland probably sees their roster right now. 36 wins in a ridiculously tough Western Conference. The status quo doesn't work right now.
Not at all. Marks did add Portland's motivation, as he just said, just to make the postseason.
You basically parlayed your cap's flexibility next year into a player that has won multiple championships, and you're hoping that you get that spark where, you're probably potentially now you could be in that play-in mix here. Probably need a +8 in wins for next year. And that is the addition with Holiday.
Celtics also got a pair of second-round picks in this deal, which is far better than anyone could have hoped for in this case. The Celtics got younger. They got a guy who shoots the lights out. The problem with Simons, and one of the reasons Portland let him go, is that he's not a good defensive player at all. I mean, defense is an afterthought for him. He is a volume shooter. If you look at his numbers, he shoots about 8 or 9 threes a game and about 15 or 16 shots a game. He was Portland's number one option on offense this past season, but it's an expiring deal. The Celtics get out from under the final 2 years of this Holiday contract. They saved themselves anywhere between $5 and $7 million in salary. Still, they're not out from under the weight of this second apron penalty, but a very good deal for Brad Stevens.
Okay, so you explain it to me, Wallach.
Okay.
He's averaging throughout his career about 15 points a game.
Last 3 seasons have been much better than that.
21, 22, 19. So he took a dip last year. He is one of the best players on a bad team. He shoots a lot, and I don't know from Portland. I didn't watch any Portland Trailblazers game last year. Is he the top 2 guy for Portland
on that team? Yes.
Okay. Should he be scoring even more than that with the amount that he shoots and the fact that they have no one else to go to?
I think 20 points a game is 20 points a game.
20 points a game is fantastic, okay? But if he were doing it in a situation where there was somebody who was out there scoring 24 and they had actually won some games, I'd be more impressed. The defense bothers me for 2 reasons. Number one, they are going to have to get much better defensively in this next year based on and probably the years after. If you're going to be without multiple star players, which every team in the league is going to have to contend with, and you're just going to have to get defensively better against everyone you play against because you won't be able to put up huge offensive numbers. But also looking at how Oklahoma City just won their championship, and they did it through defense, primarily at least in the finals series. So that bothers me a little bit because I don't know from Anfernee Simons. I know he didn't, he went straight from IMG to the pros, and I know a little bit about him, but I don't know enough about his game to say whether or not he can compete effectively in this not today's NBA, but the changing NBA.
I don't think you're looking at this right. I think that next year is a bridge year. Brad Stevens is kind of treating it like that. And Anfernee Simons has 1 year left on his contract. If he sticks and learns how to play defense, great. He fits into the offensive philosophy for this team, which is to take as many threes as possible. That's also great. And the Celtics have a year to kind of try him out. But having said that, he certainly is a candidate to be moved. It's a lot easier to move this contract than it was to move Jrue Holiday's contract. I think that this is a wait and see, maybe we can teach him defense, maybe we can't, but the expectations are a lot lower, and hey, we got something for Jrue Holiday.
I look at this, and they have plenty of optionality left, even just with Anfernee Simons. Because of the expiring contract, you could flip him this summer. you could flip him at the deadline, or you could just let the contract expire and free up the money that way and go, thanks for your time in this transition year. Maybe a sign and trade. I don't know if they'll be under the second apron by then, at which point they could do that. Otherwise, they pretty much couldn't. The Simons thing, aside from just keeping your options open, and I do think there's a good possibility they flip him again, is interesting, though, Wallach, because if they do keep him, he does not fit into the ethos of what the Celtics have been over the last 3-4 years, where the whole idea of building this team this way was, A, everyone can shoot threes, obviously fits there, but also everyone can defend in isolation. And even though they didn't play this constant switch everything defense with all of their big wings and large guards, even Porzingis could handle his own well enough when teams would force a switch. If you're an opponent now of the Celtics, you look at Simons, just as the Celtics did when they played him in Portland, and go, bring him up. Bring him into the action. High ball screen, we'll get the switch, and Tatum and Brown are licking their chops looking at him, and the Celtics do not suffer those matchups, or at least haven't since they let Kemba Walker go.
It's interesting you say that. One of the games I did a couple of years ago was in Portland. They hunted him the entire game relentlessly. Where is he? Let's switch off and make sure that's the weak link. Jrue Holiday is an excellent defensive player. This kid is not. He will be the guy that teams go after night after night after night. He is the weak link of defensively when he's on the floor. He's fun to watch. As I said, volume shooter. If he gets hot, he's going to make a few. But, I think this is the new reality for the Celtics. They're going to get, whether it be mismatched parts or pennies on the dollar, they just have to get rid of players and their salary.
It just it stinks that you have to give up a great defensive player like Jrue Holiday. And again, the secret sauce that stirs the drink for championship teams. Apparently, this is something that it's pretty good label to hang on yourself or to have hung on you. It's like, yeah, he's not your superstar player, but if you want to win a championship, you need Jrue Holiday. Like, what a cool thing, for this guy's career to have morphed into. But
they saved the spot on the Olympic team for him.
But this
he was never staying, though.
No. I get it. How about this? Let's just focus on Simon. Jrue Holiday, great player. Sucks that you can't keep him, but we knew he wasn't going to be able to keep him, so now he's gone. The player that you got back. How often do players learn how to play defense in the NBA? If they're not great defensive players and they don't have that instinct and it's not part of their calling card coming in, how often, name me some examples of players who morphed into good defensive players.
So let's just skip to the end here. Anfernee Simons is never going to be a good defender in the NBA. He's too small. Even when Portland was a top 8 defense, when you look at their last 15, 20 games last year, thanks to UConn's own Donovan Clingan protecting the ring, he's getting blown by. They're minus on the floor defensively. Okay, so this is a matter of how can you insulate him in this environment, or do you run a different system where you play faster? Hardy, you talk about the lesson learned from the OKC Thunder. Just every single player is not just an average defender, but an above-average defender. Is that something where you look at Indiana and go, the Celtics might play with more pace? They might, unfortunately for some, shoot more threes and go, we will outscore you because that's our only avenue right now. Like when you give up Jrue Holiday, you just can't expect to get an equal or better defender coming in. But what you can here with Simons, who did not fit in a team with other small guards who are offense first, is get someone to have a skill set that you might have been lacking when Tatum was on the bench. Someone who can create his own shot. Right now, you're going to have that, and Tatum's going to be on the bench all season.
And in answer to your question, Hardy, you can make a poor defender passable. That's about as good as you can hope for. An example of that is Enes Kanter, who is a terrible defensive player. Great rebounder, but lost in the pick and roll, couldn't really defend in today's NBA. By the time he left here, he was passable as a defender. You're never going to make a bad defender good, but what you can make him is someone you're not too scared to put on the floor.
And Tyrese Halliburton's another example,
and his
right?
freedom.
And his freedom, sorry. You're right.
My woke mistake. Wallach over here.
My mistake.
Unwoke Wallach.
Wallach.
Go back to sleep, Wallach.
So Simons, I think when you look at the Halliburton comparison, he's smaller. He's 6'3", Halliburton 6'5". But Halliburton was a guy we all remember last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the Tatum and Brown, bring him to me. Bring him up. I want the switch. I'm going to go right at him. Possession after possession after possession. Halliburton was not a defensive minus this year. The offseason for folks in Indiana, as far as I've read and heard, was he had kind of a wake-up call of the way the Celtics treated him in that series. I think when Simons gets here, that might be a wake-up call in practice of, hey, we're going to treat you the way we would have if you were still on the other team. What are you going to do about it? And hopefully, if you're him, who should be motivated in a contract year, right?
Yeah.
You commit in the same way that Halliburton did, where, okay, I'm at least going to be as long as possible. I'm going to be relentless with my effort. And if you get by me, you get by me, but I'm going to be back the next possession to be up in your chest as much as possible.
The other part of the problem is he's a smaller guard. He's about 6'3".
6'3", yeah.
So that you lose size, you lose defensibility, you gain offense. That's what you do. And in today's NBA, not necessarily a good thing if you want to be any good.
By the way, small thing, but Bobby Marks made a comment that he's the king of the cap that I rarely disagree with. Portland gets a guy like Jrue Holiday who's going to make $37 million, not this upcoming season, but the one after.
You're driving me nuts with this. There you go.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're in another room.
It's a salary. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
To keep so that they can trade him in a deal for another star if they want to attach picks. Because right now, teams that are offloading stars need to take back similar salary. To me, like that's why they're doing this. I think they do it from a mentorship standpoint. Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson over there, like they had too many small guards. You get Jrue in for a year, mentor, and then you flip him in the last year of his deal. And the Celtics go, yeah, that's fine. We'd rather get off of the $67.2 million over the last 2 years of his deal.
The fact that Portland's willing to do it, look.
It's a great deal.
It's
really
a great deal for the Celtics.
Yes.
I don't know why Portland wants Jrue Holiday back with that team, and like, what do they hope to accomplish with that?
Just
that
to
contract?
that's where Portland is. They just want to make the playoffs.
They're-
That's what this deal they are hoping does for them.
But how
The
dumb,
mentorship
how
and a good
dumb is
player.
that in the NBA?
Very.
Your goal is to make the playoffs, to be a middling team,
and get picked 16.
Yeah, like that is the worst place to be in the NBA.
Agreed.
Well, look, they've been wandering the wilderness now for like 5 to 6 years. Even the end of the Damian Lillard year, after they made the Western Conference Finals against Golden State and get swept, and I think it was 18, they've done virtually nothing. So I think if you have the young guards in there, and Simons at 26 was the oldest one of them, you go, Scoot, we're committed to, we're going to bring along in year 3. Shaden Sharp, hopefully do the same with him. And a guy like Jrue Holiday is going to be able to teach them all of those tricks. So even if they just get a play-in berth, which might be up for grabs because Phoenix is out of the picture, you've got other teams like Utah that are not remotely going to compete, and maybe that's the entire list out there in the West. But I think the point is, if you're the Celtics, you had enough of a market where you got to nudge them into 2 extra second-round picks. That's a positive. And I do think Portland, after this upcoming season, is going to flip Jrue Holiday again because of that salary. And in their minds, ideally, with picks and young players attached to that salary, get a star because that's their only path here to do that. And you're lucky for the Celtics to go, yeah, we undervalue Jrue Holiday because the contract hurts us, but you're undervaluing Anfernee Simons because you have too much of the same skill set in that backcourt. So we'll take him and we'll swap problems.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.